Good afternoon, everyone. It is my distinct honor to be able to introduce our next guest for the keynote presentation of today's conference. But before I do that, I'd like to recognize the amazing work of the Chamber, Sandy Baruja, Megan Spanitz, Wendy, the entire Chamber team, the chair of the board, Peter, and of course, Bob Riney, for your great work in putting this conference together. Please give them a round of applause. Thanks. We've been focused all week on the quest for common ground, but we've also been having real candid conversations about the things that we as business leaders and policymakers need to work on together as we move forward. And that's on us to be able to address those issues and move them forward. But what we're here to talk about today are the accomplishments and yet what we still can do in the next 7 months. But there are a lot of accomplishments that we should talk about. Those are quest for common ground accomplishments. 1,500 bipartisan bills signed into law. 7 state balanced budgets with an 8 on the way. 35,000 good-paying auto jobs created. And you can't talk about our keynote speaker without talking about fixing the damn roads. 24,000 road miles fixed. 1,900 bridges. And the people doing that are 118,000 good-paying contracting jobs to get that done. And because I care so much about healthcare, we have a list of accomplishments there. Codifying the Affordable Care Act, ensuring Medicaid redeterminations went well for the people who need it most, investing in behavioral health. All of those things were critical while still investing to create the infrastructure to prepare the healthcare workers that we all are going to need going into the future. But with all those accomplishments, I think what I have admired most is the way she's gone about doing it. She's gone about it in a way true to her and in a way with a sense of humor. I think we can remember her standing up here last year talking about the pending fixes in 696, and she ended with, "You're welcome, and I'm sorry," if you remember. She also made it very cool to wear hot pink and still be respected, and she made it okay in the workplace to swear a little. So with that, it's my distinct honor to welcome the 49th governor of the state of Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here with all of you. I want to thank the Detroit Regional Chamber for organizing this annual conference. Thank you to the Grand Hotel for your hospitality. And let's all thank all the people who are working so hard to keep us comfortable, caffeinated, and fed. Because this is my senior year as governor, we are using a yearbook theme for our slideshow. And for your entertainment, we've included some funny photos from my actual yearbooks. So let's jump in. Every year, my keynote focuses on 1 or 2 big ideas. And the common thread is always our ability as Michiganders to work together to solve problems and move Michigan forward. To no one's surprise today, I'm going to talk about collaboration. I'll discuss a former Michigan governor and our choice right now between further division or common ground. We can each do our part to bridge divides, to lower the temperature, and to always, always, always choose to put Michigan and Michiganders first. Because we know that big achievements require collaboration. I've signed almost 1,600 bipartisan bills, 7 bipartisan budgets, with 1 more soon. I'm really proud of that. And despite that, we know that our politics have gotten more divided. Too many people are too quick to judge. Algorithms are designed to keep us scrolling, often pit us against one another. Some leaders stoke anger and distrust. These forces make us angry, hopeless, and apathetic. And the data backs it up. Fewer competitive congressional districts than ever, states racing to draw gerrymandered maps, more partisanship, and fewer bipartisan bills in DC. Just 34% of Americans believe most people can be trusted. Almost 2/3 of voters think our government is too politically divided to solve the nation's problems. And we've seen a scary rise in violence targeting politicians, CEOs, and anyone making their voices heard. More Americans are open to using violence to achieve political goals. Just think about that. We have serious challenges as a nation and as a state. And if we can't talk to one another and debate ideas without violence, how can we move forward? Over 20 years ago, Governor Bill Milliken discussed this exact challenge right here at MPC. Milliken was our longest-serving governor, a great leader with a humble style. In 2005, Governor Milliken warned the crowd. He said, "We have seen a growth of meanness, of bitterness, and excessive partisanship." He reminded us, as goes Detroit, so goes Michigan. He called us to stay focused on the people we serve. He warned that unless we worked together, our infrastructure would decay, our skilled workers would leave, and our state would be left in the dust. Remember, this was 2005. Milliken's speech made a huge impression on a young legislator in the crowd, me. Governor Milliken believed in collaboration. And as some of you, if not all of you know, he also formed a deep friendship with Coleman Young, the Democratic mayor of the city of Detroit. The governor said they were able to work together constructively to solve critical problems, and I think that's what the state needed. Governor Milliken loomed large in my life. When I was a kid, my dad was his commerce director, and through my dad, I learned lessons from this giant of Michigan politics. Treat people with respect, listen, and remember we are Michiganders first. In my own life, I've tried to live and lead with those same timeless values. During his 1972 State of the State address, Milliken said, "Divided government carries with it a mandate from the people to work together, to seek ways to reach honorable compromise." My entire 14 years in the legislature, I served in the minority. So I learned pretty quick, the only way I was ever going to get anything done was to work across the aisle. When I was minority leader in the Michigan Senate, we had an opportunity to expand Medicaid in Michigan. Some of my colleagues didn't want to give Governor Rick Snyder a win. And I could have retreated to my partisan corner, but I knew how important this was. So we worked together, and I went desk to desk to persuade my fellow Democrats, and we got it done because it was the right thing to do. But it didn't just happen. It took a lot of hard work and trust. And now hundreds of thousands of Michiganders have health care because we did the right thing. And as governor, I regularly work across the aisle to get things done. Because I believe a governor's oath is to the people of Michigan. People ask me why I love this job despite all the challenges we've had to overcome. Mass shootings, polar vortex, tornadoes, floods, death threats, plots, divisive elections, global pandemic, to name a few. My answer, why I love this job, is my fellow Michiganders. There is truly inspiration everywhere. On some days, you might have to search for it, but it's there. Our state is full of good, honest, hardworking people who care about their neighbors and want to make our two peninsulas better. I'm proud to be a Michigander, and we've been able to get a lot of things done in Michigan. In my executive office, we like to think of our accomplishments as revolving around the 5 Fs. After all, who doesn't like a good F word from time to time? Trisha Keith knew what she was talking about. The 5 Fs. We've invested in our factories. We've built strong foundations for our kids and workforce. We help people's finances with jobs and lower costs. We fixed the damn roads and protected fundamental freedoms for all. So we're going to go through each one. First, factories. Since 2019, we've created tens of thousands of good-paying jobs brought supply chains back home, and set our economy up to think, build, and lead the future. We improved our state's credit rating. We paid down $28 billion of debt and nearly doubled our rainy day fund to an all-time high of $2.2 billion. We won the largest economic project in Michigan history, a $1 billion AI project that will create 2,500 good-paying jobs. We secured more jobs with new factories in Marshall and Delta Township, both opening this year. And we added the first new factory in Detroit in 30 years. We built more housing, replaced more lead pipes than any administration in history. We unleashed Michigan innovators through the R&D tax credit, the Innovation Fund, and Pitch Me. Michigan was named a top 10 state for business by CNBC 3 years in a row. Thanks to our workforce efforts, we are now number 4 in the country for regional workforce development. And last year, after decades of attempts and unfortunately not being successful by previous Michigan leaders, we worked together with the Trump administration and won a new F-15EX fighter mission at Selfridge Air National Guard Base. Selfridge supports thousands of local jobs and military families. You know, this base supports thousands of local jobs and military families, not to mention about $850 million in annual economic impact for the region and for the state. So yesterday, I signed the bipartisan bill to prepare Selfridge for the fighter mission by 2028. Our collaboration on Selfridge is proof we can disagree vehemently at times and still find common ground. Second, foundations. We've laid a strong foundation by investing in our students, educators, and literacy strategy. We closed the funding gap among schools, created a weighted formula so that dollars go where they're needed most. We increased per-student funding to give students newer textbooks, technology, and lab equipment. We invested in early learning, surged mental health resources, required financial literacy in our schools, and created programs giving every student a path to a skills certificate or college degree. I signed bipartisan laws to get phones out of the classroom and phonics into the classroom. I don't get a big round of applause when I talk about that at schools, by the way. But it's the right thing to do. And just so you know, we're seeing more kids checking out library books when policies like this go into place and talking more to each other at lunch. We also worked to lower the cost of becoming a teacher, and we forged new paths into the profession. We delivered free breakfast and lunch to all 1.4 million Michigan public school students. So our kids can focus on learning and not being hungry. So their parents can save almost $1,000 a year per student they have in their household, and everyone has a little less stress in the morning. Third, finances. Everything has gotten more expensive lately. I'm sure many of you stopped for gas on the way up here. And while we might have winced at the number, it's important to remember we're still here. We still made that trip. A lot of folks are not so lucky. They can't get by with gas and tariffs making life more expensive. And while I can't open the Strait of Hormuz, we have helped Michiganders keep more money in their pockets. We cut over $1 billion in taxes, including the retirement tax on our seniors, and we quintupled the working families tax credit. We cut taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security, helping more workers keep more money in their pockets. We delivered free pre-K for all Michigan 4-year-olds. Oh, that one's me. And community college for every high school graduate, tuition free. Free community college is just one part of our 60 by 30 goal, to get more Michiganders a college degree or skills certificate. More than 200,000 Michiganders have signed up for Michigan Reconnect or gone back to school already. 52% of Michiganders have a credential now. We're up from 45% when I took office. Fourth, fixing the damn roads. Bad roads are expensive. A flat tire or busted rim can mean missed work, money diverted from rent or childcare, or simply lost profits. In my very first budget, I proposed a real, sustainable, long-term fix for this decades-old problem. But despite saying they wanted to fix the damn roads, I couldn't get the legislature to touch it or even offer an alternative. So we barreled ahead. I launched Rebuilding Michigan, which was our 5-year plan to fix our busiest state highways and bridges. And thanks to Rebuilding Michigan, by the end of my time in office, we will have fixed over 26,000 lane miles of road and almost 2,000 bridges, and supporting tens of thousands of jobs. It was a good start, but it's not a long-term fix. We still needed a sustainable long-term solution. So last fall, we delivered the largest roads deal in state history, in a split legislature, no less, investing an extra $2 billion a year to fix the state and local roads. And we got it done to keep drivers safe, create jobs, and save families all across our state money. Both Speaker Hall and Senate Majority Leader Brinks helped me get this done. And fifth, freedoms, all right? When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, in 2022, Michigan voters enshrined reproductive freedom in the state constitution. In Lansing, we repealed our 1931 abortion ban and enacted a Reproductive Health Act. This is about justice and economics. And anyone who says it's not probably doesn't have a uterus. And LGBTQ+ rights are also about both justice and the economy. If we want to grow, we must build a more welcoming state where everyone can thrive. One of my proudest moments as governor was signing the expansion of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act with my daughter by my side. Mel Larson was at the ceremony too. You know, Mel and Governor Milliken and a Democrat named Daisy Elliott gave us the original civil rights law in Michigan. So it's really incredible that we were able to get that done. And it's a tribute to so many folks in this room, because the business community was so helpful in making sure that we did that. So that was 5 Fs. I guess that means I have no more Fs to give. Like I said, you know, big achievements require collaboration. We definitely have more to do. In my last 6 months, Q3 and Q4 in your language, it's all gas and no brakes until noon on January 1 of 2027. Because we face big challenges. One of them was outlined just 2 days ago by Sandy Brua, who said the lack of clarity around our trade and tariff policies has negatively impacted Michigan and our auto industry. There is no doubt that that is the fact. US and Canada relations are strained, to put it lightly. Government-subsidized Chinese auto companies are invading the markets in Europe, Mexico, and now Canada. Tariff policy and rhetoric motivated Canada to cut a deal with China to drop their automotive tariffs down from 100% to 6%. The Iran war has skyrocketed gas prices, grocery prices, the cost of fertilizer, and electricity bills. Consumer sentiment's at an all-time low, and inflation is at a 3-year high. The Chamber's recent poll shows how these economic concerns are driving more Michiganders to feel things are headed in the wrong direction. In DC, we're going to keep pushing the administration to protect our auto industry and establish a smarter national trade policy. And here in Michigan, we'll do what we can to lower costs for families who are struggling. One thing we can do right now is complete a balanced budget on time by July 1. I'm also calling on the legislature to work with me on a few key issues: housing, competitiveness, and literacy. You know, we've built or refurbished 90,000 homes, more than any administration in history, but we still face a housing shortage. So let's set up a state-level affordable tax credit and better zoning to put shovels in the dirt and lower costs. Let's also equip Michigan with the right tools to continue to grow our economy, create good-paying jobs, and compete and win against other states. But that's not all. Today, I'm excited to announce another step forward on literacy. Earlier this year, we articulated our goal, every child reads, and proposed the largest literacy investment in Michigan history. The plan has 3 pillars: early starts, proven methods, and extra support. To support our long-term focus on literacy, leaders from education, from business, philanthropy, nonprofits, and government will serve on our Every Child Reads Champions Council. And here's what they'll do. See, I just signed the order setting up the council. Michigan finally has a strategy informed by good data and bipartisan buy-in. It's understandable, but when we're talking about our kids, we want immediate results. But literacy is a marathon. It's not a miracle. We've got to stay committed in order to be successful. Can't change strategies every couple of years. So our work can and must continue after this year. The leaders of this council will ensure the important work on literacy continues no matter who's giving this speech next year. Because success requires strong partnerships, and not just on literacy. This is not the time to rest on our laurels or get senioritis. We need to supercharge our efforts, because this work can't stop. I'm excited. We'll be working with J.P. Morgan Chase's Security and Resiliency Initiative, and leaders across the state will help us advance Michigan's role in building more resilient and competitive U.S. economy. We're going to kick this off in June with more announcements to come. Let's bring our A game to this critical work and choose Michigan. Today I've spoken a lot about the work we've done and the work ahead to move Michigan forward. But our biggest hurdle is a culture of division. In just a few weeks, we will all celebrate the nation's 250th anniversary. I'm grateful to be an American every day. With that identity carries an awesome responsibility to make our union more perfect, however we can. Our founders understood the value of robust debate. Since the very beginning, we've been raucous and loud and argumentative, but we knew how to work together. That's how we built the middle class, assembled the arsenal of democracy, and defeated fascism and communism. Disagreements in service of something greater can be necessary and productive. Every one of us has worked with someone with whom we disagree. That's just the way it is. But we can't mandate that people work together. It's truly a cultural issue, not a policy one. And culture is really just the collective sum of our individual choices. So we can all do our part to compromise, to reach across divides, and form unlikely coalitions. Finding common ground can be hard, but it's worth it. Michiganders can do hard things. Before you leave the island, I have a suggestion for you. Walk up the hill. Go out the hotel, walk up the hill, turn right at the stables, and go straight past the governor's summer residence all the way to the east bluff of the island. And there you will find the newly built Milliken Nature Center. It sits across from Arch Rock, which is fitting, because Governor Milliken always worked to bridge divides. As you enjoy the center and the glorious view, take a moment to ponder Governor Milliken's legacy and recommit yourself to this work. We're all Michiganders. And yes, even those who refer to themselves as Michiganians are Michiganders too. We all love this state and want the best future for our kids. We heard it from the Artemis II astronauts just a few weeks ago. The extraordinary crew of 4 traveled further away from Earth than any human being ever had before. Christina Cook, the mission engineer, was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah. That woman from Michigan said, "We do not leave Earth, but we choose it. We will explore, we will build, but ultimately, we will always choose Earth. We will always choose each other." This year and every year, let's choose Michigan and let's choose each other. Let's work together and build a Michigan for all. Thank you.
Please welcome back to the stage,
Right.
Tricia Keith.
Whew. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Governor. We have new F words that we know now. Great, great. You made headlines this morning. You started talking about 2028, so tell us what's happening with that.
Okay, I need to correct the record on a couple of fronts. I didn't start talking about 2028. I got the 100th question of the morning about it, and I said, I'm not making plans, and I saw all the headlines. You know, I never thought I would run for governor, so I guess I should know better to say, never say never. But I don't want any distractions as I wrap up my 8 years as governor. It's been an honor to be governor. We still have really important things to do, and I find all this talk about my future such a distraction from what I want to get done today. So I thank you for the question, but you know, at this juncture, I've got nothing to announce. I guess I'll just smile and say I'm going to stay focused and leave it at that for now.
Good, good. All right, thank you. Thank you. So we've been talking a lot about Quest for Common Ground. You just referenced there are still a lot of things that you want to get done. So of those things, which are probably the biggest opportunities for cross-party collaboration?
Yeah, you know, going into this year, I mean, we have a very closely divided House of Representatives and Senate, handful of votes on either side on any particular day. And, you know, it was very important to me that we're productive throughout the term. And so I didn't want to lead with things I knew would be divisive and that would never have a shot. I like to, you know, over-deliver, right? Under-promise and over-deliver. But I think we can focus on housing, literacy, and helping people who are really suffering from medical debt. It seem to be three things that would help in the healthcare space, help in our housing efforts, and the critical question of how do we make sure our kids are ready for the world. And I think those should be areas where there is common ground. And I know there's many folks in the room who have been incredible partners on all of these fronts. And I encourage you to stay engaged. None of us should have senioritis yet.
Good. So those are areas of commonality. There are going to be issues that have opposing sides. And so how do we think about building trust to end up getting to a place for the greater good?
I've been thinking a lot about trust. You know, this has been, I think the last year and a half as we've seen a long-term relationship between Michigan and our most important economic trading partner, Canada, has become so compromised and it's gotten so divisive. It's really, the damage is so profound. And, you know, you earn trust by the teaspoon, but you can lose it by the bucket.
Right.
And as I think about the work that needs to be done just to mend that relationship, it's one scintilla of what I think we need to be thinking about for the future, for the next 250 years of this country, right? There's a lot of damage that has been done over the last year and a half, and I do worry about and think about that. Trust is built over time, over small acts, over showing up as you promise you will. It's always about not what you say, but what you do. And I hope that I can continue to earn the trust not just of Michigan and Michiganders, but of folks in the legislature, because we've got more to do.
Well, it's clear you have our trust here, and so I think we're ready to lean in. Let's flip a little bit now. We've been talking a lot about affordability. Obviously, healthcare is right in the crosshairs of that. And so what are the things that you think the state can do to help us that are going to make difference for families and employers?
Well, you mentioned a couple things in your opening comments, and I appreciate what you said. We're always thinking about how do we help upskill our workforce. As I talk to employers of all sizes all across the state over all the years I've been in office, the workforce has been one of the very top concerns all the time. If you're pitching Michigan to someone who's not here and thinking about coming here, the first question is about the workforce. It's not about tax policy. It's about are you going to have the people I need? And so making it easier for people to get those credentials, whether they're going into healthcare or they're going into tech or any other field, we want everyone to have that path. It's a few $1,000s that keeps a lot of people from pursuing a degree in an industry that we desperately need more people in. I think our work around mental health has been an improvement from where things were, but there's still a lot of work. There's one person.
Somebody likes it. Yeah. All right. Good.
So we've made strides, but there's always more to do. And I think with the looming cuts that are coming from Washington, D.C., that this work has got to continue. I am concerned that with the House Bill 1, or the big, beautiful bill, as they call it, there were things that are delayed that will start to come to fruition here that's in the near horizon.
We had a chance to talk with your daughters a little earlier backstage, and so thinking about young people and staying in Michigan, how can we make sure that this is a place where people want to live and build their futures?
Yeah. Well, I'm resorting to threats in my household.
Okay, all right.
One of my daughters is in Philadelphia in law school right now, and the other's working in Chicago. And they're both, they've lived here their whole lives. They went to the University of Michigan. I understand that it's good for them to stretch. I ultimately want them to come back, just like every parent here does, just like I want all of your kids and young people in your worlds to come back or to stay here. And so making sure that there's a great quality of life, that there's good job opportunities, that there's housing available. I think all of these are important pieces. I'm proud that we've made some strides in these fronts, but I think it's a continuing effort on all of our parts. As we think about growing our economy and growing our population, they're absolutely intricately connected. And so the work that we've seen come to fruition in Detroit with the growing population, and Michigan having more people move in than out for the first time in decades, there's good stuff happening, but there's a lot more to do.
Good. We reference Fix the Damn Roads, and obviously roads and bridges, this infrastructure has been so important. Is there a next big chapter in infrastructure yet? And if so, what would it be?
Well, I think about the tech infrastructure, right? We landed a phenomenal investment that is coming to Southeast Michigan with partners from the University of Michigan to OpenAI to Wallbridge. We've got, it's the greatest collaboration. It's an incredible undertaking, and we're going to put thousands of people to work right away. But the spin-off opportunities are going to be huge with the kind of talent. Now, certainly, we're all kind of grappling with questions and anxieties around AI. I think it's really important that we do it smart, right? Like there's a social contract that anyone who's going to build has to buy into. We're going to have closed-loop water systems where we're good stewards of our natural resources. We're going to add energy to the grid if possible, but definitely not, take energy off the grid where consumers pay for it or could go without. And we're going to make sure that they pay a good wage for the folks that are building it. These entities are going to get built, period. So let's build them here and let's do it right and make sure that it is makes sense for Michigan's economy and for Michigan's future.
I believe you've always led with such positivity, and so what gives you the most optimism for the future right now?
I see it every day, I really do. The best thing about the job that I have is there are things that I get to see that I maybe never would have come across. As I'm living here my whole life, 55 years this year, I'm getting into communities, meeting people who are doing small things that make their community better, and it's inspirational. Even in the hardest days, there's, when we had the Midland dams that burst, and I showed up, and it was in the middle of a pandemic, and I just was like, I don't know how we're going to get through this. Watching how neighbors were showing up and helping one another gave me the shot in the arm that I needed that day. And so there really is inspiration everywhere. And the best thing about the state are the people that call it home. And if you search for that inspiration, it is there.
So let's close on, I won't ask you what you're going to be doing in 5 years from now, but in 5 years from now, when people are talking about you and your time leading Michigan, what do you want the storyline to be?
I hope it's that she always put Michigan first. Whether it was the threats that I got during COVID and making hard decisions to keep people safe, or it was showing up at the White House and the pundits that made fun of me for showing up, but we got our fighter mission. I've always put the people of Michigan first, and I hope that's what people remember, that Big Gretch loves Michigan.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please join me in thanking Governor, and please stay as we have a special recognition that we'd love you to stay for.
Thank you.